Well, another dry day inside of the state of South Carolina as we had nice dry conditions, nice clear conditions at my house today. And so those conditions seem like they may want to try to continue, if not mostly dry conditions continue, especially as we go throughout tonight, going into early next week, which is pretty much this week, under high pressure and ridging. Strong warming trend builds as we get into this week into the work week. Limited rain chances early to midweek, then increasing late week, and then persistent warm and mostly dry pattern through the period with fire weather concerns possible, especially when we start to receive some lower humidity. But I believe that most of it seems to be done by now. Most of those drier conditions, because the cold front that moved through, obviously, that was a little bit ago now at this point. But we're going to go on now and take a look at our live radar. What's currently going on? Well, right now, we are nice and dry. We're not looking for any sort of rainfall right now. Nice and dry. If we scroll our way out, see what's going on throughout the entire U.S., a lot of things going on here. A lot of things going on. We have some rainfall going on over here in Georgia, inside of Florida. We have some severe weather with some severe thunderstorm warnings, some tornado warnings also here as we go into Nebraska, Kansas, Iowa, some rainfall going on in the Dakotas, Minnesota, with some rainfall and some snowfall, Wyoming, Utah, Nevada going on in Montana. We have some rainfall and some snowfall, Washington State, we have some rainfall going on as well. But that late season snowfall definitely isn't in full effect up there. Now for our cloud cover may be trying to move in from the west a little bit. You can see it going throughout like the western part of the state along that line with Georgia. And so it's moving throughout western low country, western Midlands, maybe a little bit of the western upstate. Everybody else seems to be doing good though. Now for our cloud cover for the future, it does seem like that cloud cover will be trying to stay with us. Will be trying to stay with us as we go more and more into tomorrow. I'm going to like tomorrow afternoon, going into tomorrow evening still. Cloud cover not really looking the most. Definitely not looking the most right now, even as we go all the way into Tuesday around 2 o'clock p.m. So honestly, I mean, I see the cloud cover. I see it happening, but it's not really too prominent, if that makes sense. It stays for a little bit, but then kind of just goes away. So cloud cover is going to be all over the place, but I think it's going to be mostly clear statewide. Now for our current temperatures right now, we're talking about 74 Somerville, 74 Charleston, Beaufort, Hilton Island, 79 Orangeburg, 80 in Columbia, 73 from Georgetown up into Conway, Myrtle Beach, 77 in Lancaster, as well as 78 in Union, 77 in Lawrence, and 76 in Greenville, 75 Spartanburg, and 76 in Rock Hill. Air quality for today, we're looking at moderate conditions right now from the upstate to the Midlands to the PD areas, even inside of the southern Midlands. But watch as you get into the low country, those coastal areas going into the Grand Strand, moderate air quality risk. Moderate air quality risk as we go into tonight. Now for our low temperatures, we're talking about 65 in Greenville, 64 in Spartanburg, as well as 66 in Columbia, 67 in Sumter, Florence, 65 in Moncks Corner, 70 in Charleston, 67 in Georgetown, 69 Myrtle Beach, and 65 in Walterboro, 64 Barnwell, and 66 in Aiken and Orangeburg. Now, once you get into tomorrow's high temperatures, we're talking about 89 in Greenville, 90 Spartanburg, 94 Columbia, 93 Orangeburg, and 89 in Moncks Corner, 84 in Charleston, 85 in Georgetown, 81 Myrtle Beach, and 83 in Hilton Island, 91 Barnwell, and 93 in Aiken. Now, what about for our rainfall? Rainfall, we have around a good 100th of an inch to a 10th of an inch that's possible in the very, very far upstate. Again, not a whole lot. Anderson's included in there, but everybody else mostly dry. And so that's what I was talking about when it came to what's on tap. And that was that we're going to see mostly dry conditions as we continue throughout the week, even though some areas may see some accumulation, which you're definitely blessed if you get that, because obviously we're talking about these drought conditions that are still here throughout the state. So you definitely still want to see, this rainfall. Now, SPC outlook, They have a marginal risk of severe weather. I mean, I said my opinion on it yesterday. I said that it's going to be very isolated, maybe like a little shower. But I didn't really think that the thunderstorm threat was really there. And I mean, even if I go on and push throughout the radar, because I'm looking at it on my other screen, I'm not seeing anything. And I'll show y'all, once we get to the models. But I do see a storm inside of Georgia. That is going on. I do see a storm inside of Georgia right now. It has since expired from its severe weather or its special weather statement from some gusty winds. But again, I don't really see that severe weather chance inside the upstate right now. Of course, things can always change, but for right now, I'm not really looking at anything too bad. Now, if we go on and look at tomorrow, we're looking at, again, no thunderstorm activity. Tuesday, same thing. Fire weather, not expected. Excessive rainfall, though. Excessive rainfall. Day 5. Actually, yeah, day 5. Day 5. Day 5, that is, if I'm not mistaken, which my calendar is still not working for some reason, but I believe day 5 is Thursday. Yeah, Thursday. So Thursday going into Friday, isolated flash flooding is possible up here in the upstate. Greenville, Spartanburg, Gaffney, Rock Hill, Lawrence, Anderson, Walhalla. These areas have a 5% risk of isolated flash flooding, or just a 5% risk of flash flooding in general, meaning isolated flash flooding is possible. So make sure on Thursday that you're aware, that you're paying attention. It's 5 days out, so this could be gone. But we're just going to have to continue to monitor it at this point. Now, if you go in and take a look at the crazy score, we're at an 8. Yes, we are at an 8 for tonight, meaning that we're really just looking at nice, calm conditions tonight, as I was saying. And, clouds are going to be there, but it's not going to be completely cloudy by any means. No major concerns, no significant weather. Just overall calm. So now if we go in and take a look at the models, remember that the time is at the bottom part of your screen. Make sure that you pay attention to that because it is very important, because you could definitely lose track of where we are if you sit and not pay attention to the time. So and it also could be a top fan question. So if you want to have a chance of getting that correct, you may want to pay attention to this because it could be a question from here. We're going to start off with the short term first, and we'll talk about the week because it is Sunday, and Sunday evening, it is the week forecast. So tonight, I'm not seeing any sort of rainfall, even as you get into Monday night, looking pretty good. Tuesday comes along, going into Tuesday afternoon, still just looks pretty dry and just pretty good in general. Pretty good. Now, if we go on and take a look at our long-term future, because obviously nothing really is happening during the short term. We're going to look at this week, and once we get through Tuesday, we get through Wednesday afternoon, going into Wednesday evening, I'm looking for some more rainfall that may try to move through, especially through the upstate. And watch as we get into Thursday. Watch as we get into Friday. That rainfall threat is going to bump up a lot. Once we get into Saturday, at the end of the week, Saturday comes along, and we're still looking at some rainfall activity, but it's definitely not a whole lot. I don't think it will be as much as like Friday and Thursday. But the main thing that I'm really looking at this week is how we start off the week dry, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday or so. Then once we get into Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, that's when we start to see that rain chance start to go up. And so that's exactly why I said last night that if you had anything you need to get done, definitely get it done at the beginning of the week outside. Anything outside, get it done at the beginning of the week. Because if you wait until around Thursday, you wait until Friday, it's not going to, maybe not going to be the best condition for you to go outside at that time. So beneficial for sure. We definitely want this rainfall. But if you have anything you need to get done, I'd recommend just doing it on like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Now, as we go on real quick and look at our temperatures, and we're going to look at the precipitation totals, and we'll go into the future, but as I said, because it is Sunday, we're going to go on real quick and just look at this week. We go into the anomalies first and watch as we get into around Monday, going into Tuesday. It's warm, 10 to 15 degrees above average. We get into Thursday, Friday. Once you get to around Thursday and Friday, you start to see some cooler air starting to move through. But it's still not bad. I mean, we're still seeing nice warm conditions all the way through into Saturday. I'm going into Sunday of next week. So I do believe that we will continue to see nice warm conditions throughout the majority of the week. And if we even go on and take a look at our temperatures for the future, not just looking at the anomalies, but the actual temperatures themselves, we're seeing 80s, we're seeing 90s through Monday. Tuesday, we're seeing more 90s. Wednesday, we're seeing more 90s. Thursday, we're seeing more 90s. Friday, what do we see? Potentially some more 90s. Saturday, more 90s. So it's going to be a nice hot week this week. And definitely, if you are a 90s fan, 90s temperature fan, you definitely will love this week. Definitely will. Especially the beginning part where it's not raining as often. Now, what's going on in terms of the actual averages? So, if we take a look at this, this is our averages for the week. And as you can see, it's obviously going to be an above average temperature week. I don't think anyone's really shocked by that. Precipitation wise, it's actually going to be an above average precipitation week. So, both above averages, above average temperatures, above average precipitation. That's what we're looking at right now. That is what we're looking at. So now that the week is done with, we know what it's going to look like. We know that it's going to be warm. We know that it's going to start off dry, but then as we get more into the week, it's going to get more active. We know that now. Let's talk about further into the future. Oh, wait, actually, no, not yet. I want to see the totals real quick for the week. And then we'll go on and talk about the past this week. So we're going to look at the WPC. We're going to look at the next 7 days. And I mean, for right now, it honestly looks like around a good 1.5 inches, especially once you get up into the upstate. I mean, maybe even close to 2 inches in the upstate. Then you see close to around an inch near Columbia, maybe over there near Florence as well. And then even like near a 1/10 of an inch. I mean, as little as a 1/10 of an inch down there in Charleston. So honestly, this could be a pretty good rain week for the upstate, but in a pretty bad rain week for the low country. And it kind of does reflect a little bit. Not really as much, but you can kind of see how these averages up here inside the upstate kind of peak a little bit more than they do like in the low country. So, if this was to happen as modeled right here, this would be not the best situation again for the coastal areas, but a very good situation for the upstate. And we'll take a look at the ensembles and all that kind of stuff. But as we get more and more into the future, we go past this week, we're still looking at rainy conditions all the way through into Sunday, going into Monday of next week. I mean, it just looks like next week could be pretty active. Even Memorial Day, which is also on this Monday right here, could be active. It could be active on Memorial Day. And it looks to still be raining as we go through Tuesday, as we go through Wednesday. Thursday could bring in some rainfall as well, going into Friday, Saturday. Friday and Saturday of not next weekend, but the weekend after. Doesn't look all that bad. But that's over 300 hours out. That's like way over 300 hours. So how much are we looking at in terms of totals? Well, if we look at the deterministic, I know this is, the deterministic, so not the ensembles, but it does show us getting to around 1.5 inches, close to around 2 inches and some spots. So, like I said, not the worst. But we definitely could see some more. Now, if we go on and take a look at the ensembles, the GEFS here, GEFS has us maybe around a good inch and 1.8 inches or so, maybe even close to around 2.6 or so, or maybe even trying to get up to around 3 inches or so. So I do think that we will start to see that rainfall, especially in the upstate, go on. But the low country seems to be getting the lower end, even like the coastal Grand Strand areas as well, seem to be getting that lower end of the stick for rainfall as we move throughout the future. Now, that is just the GEFS. If we go on and look at the European one as well, European one kind of has us. Let's go to the 12Z real quick. European kind of has the same idea, but a lot more rainfall. It shows around 2 to 3 inches or so. near the coastal areas, maybe even near around 4 to maybe even close to 5 inches of rainfall, according to the European. Over the next 360 hours, this would be a good amount, and this would be very, very, very beneficial for the drought. But honestly, will it cause some flooding concerns? I mean, we just saw Thursday. Thursday, we already have isolated flash flooding. That is a possibility. So I really do think that we should, want the rainfall, but don't hope for any sort of flash flooding. So now that that is out of the way in terms of our precipitation, what's going on temperature-wise? So, we go past this week. We're looking into next week. Next week still looks pretty warm. Even as we get into Tuesday, as we get into Wednesday, going into Thursday. But there goes some cooler air as we get into the end of next week, potentially. Even as we get into Friday, as we get into Saturday. I mean, we definitely still do see some warmer air, but cooler temperatures are definitely going to be upon us still. Cooler air, I guess you could say, rather being during the nighttime hours or during like the early morning hours. It still could be a bit cooler than average, but I do believe that warmer temperatures will still be with us even as we get throughout the end of the month, going into early next month, going into hurricane season. Now, if we want to look even further into the future, I mean, watch as we go into this weekend right here, going into next week, or I should say the week after next week. We're still seeing 80s, we're still seeing 90s throughout the board. I mean, going all the way through into Thursday, going into Friday of next week. I mean, still 90s everywhere. And so this would definitely be good. I mean, even right here, June the 2nd, we see 99. Now, I know that is, again, I know, it is 384 hours out. But our first 100-degree temperature of the season, and I'm talking about an actual temperature, couldn't be too far off. I mean, it may not be as far off as we may think. Now, even if we want to look at the ensembles for it, going to look at the temperatures real quick. We move over into Monday, going into Tuesday, we're seeing a bunch of 90s, and we're talking about next week, not this week. That's why I said make sure you're paying attention to the bottom. We see some 80s, some more 90s, once again, and it just seems to stay warm for us. So I do believe that that's all that I have to say here. So I don't have anything else. I talked about everything for what's on tap. So we're going to go on real quick and talk with the audience. If you want to be a part of the audience, you can by joining us here at 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. Let's see what the audience has to say for tonight. Starting off with Mr. Chris. He says, good evening, everyone. Hope you had a great day. Well, I did. Thank you so much for that. Got you around 88 degrees here in Moncks Corner. Then Maya Lewis says, good evening, everyone. I pray that you all had a wonderful Sunday. Well, thank you for that. Today's high was around 83. Mr. Chris says currently it's around 79. Started off very cloudy and turned partly cloudy this afternoon. Maya Lewis says currently it's around 75 degrees. Mr. Chris says hopefully we get some rain soon. Maya Lewis says we had a beautiful day at the gender reveal. It's a girl. Well, thank you so much for that information. And glad that it went well. Then Mr. Chris says, please remember to go and hit the like button and the subscribe button. Also share with everyone that you know. It's free, helps the channel grow. Plus, it's time of year for severe weather. And be prepared, not scared. Absolutely. In fact, not only that, but hurricane season is coming up. It's technically hurricane season preparedness month, as it was declared, I believe, last year, that in South Carolina, May is hurricane season preparedness month. So, we may go on and have like a little hurricane preparedness video, maybe later this year. Not later this year. Later this month. Technically later this year, but later this month is what I mean. On the literal term. Now, Maya Lewis says Conway wasn't nice and warm. Didn't for the nice breeze. It would have been too hot. Or if it wasn't for the nice breeze, it would have been too hot. And then Mr. Michael comes in and says, happy Sunday, everyone. Hopefully all had a wonderful Monday, or all have a wonderful Monday and a new week. Rainfall would be welcomed as well. Absolutely. Mr. Chris says, wow, I can't believe snow is still going on. Yeah, it still is. We're seeing some late season snow. Right now. Then Mr. Anthony comes in and says, "Good evening, everyone. Good evening to you." Milo says, rain is surely needed," and I do agree. I mean, we have this drought going on right now, which I'm kind of interested to see how Thursday comes along with the drought monitor. But for right now, we definitely need the rainfall. Everybody does. Doesn't matter where you are throughout the state of South Carolina. You need the rainfall. You need it. Thad says, "Good evening, Justin and the 360 Weather family." Well, good evening to you. I trust all is well. My apologies for my absence. I was celebrating 50 years of life. Hold on one quick second. Do I have it updated? No, I don't. Hold on. I have it over here. Let me go and give you a round of applause. Give you a round of applause. Happy birthday to you. Or happy belated birthday to you, I should say. Then Mr. Chris said, I believe that with as dry as it's been, hold on. I believe that with as dry as it is, it might flood, being that the ground is so dry and hard. Well, I mean, it really does depend on the area that you're talking about, because sometimes when it, becomes dry, you start to see that the ground starting to absorb more of that water. So it would be kind of like less for it to flood, but I think it kind of just depends on the area for it. But it may be the opposite. Malu says, yes, we do need the rainfall, but not the flash flooding. That says, we are getting a light rain event at the moment, so that is a blessing. Lots of lightning and thunder. Then Flexmaster says, sup, from Gray's Court, South Carolina. I think you're the same guy from earlier, if I'm not mistaken. So if you are the same guy from earlier who's, dropped in here before, glad to see that you're back as well. Unless I'm thinking about somebody else. But that's all that I can see here throughout the entire chat. So we're going to go on real quick and give my question real quick. Remember, top fan of the night, if you can go on and get the question correct, you will go on and win for tonight. And if you were here during the models, which is what I said, you should be paying attention. This should be pretty easy for you. The question is, I said that there could be something that could be coming soon later on in like the next couple of weeks or so. And I said that it would not surprise me. And if it came, not as soon as people may think, or as soon as people may think. What was it? What did I say? And honestly, I expect this to be answered pretty quickly because, again, this is a pretty easy question. If you were listening during the models. But I said something is coming soon, potentially. Something is coming soon throughout the next, 2 weeks or so. But that's all that I can say there. All I can say here. Hurricane season? No, it's not hurricanes. Well, I mean, that was something that... I did say that. But that's not what I was looking for exactly. I said something could... Let me rephrase it. Something could potentially be coming throughout the next 2-3 weeks or so that may catch some people off guard. That's the question. No, it's not a cold front. No, it's not severe weather. Okay, maybe it was a bit more of a harder question than I thought. But something could be coming through. I'll come back to the chat though. We'll read it in just a second. But let's go on and talk about the 4 areas outside of South Carolina. You might be asking, 4 areas? What am I talking about? I'm talking about San Antonio, Texas, Raleigh, North Carolina, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, as well as Duncan, Oklahoma. The reason why I talk about these 4 areas because we have people from these areas who tune in almost nightly. And because they tune in almost nightly, we go on and give them their forecast for them. So starting off with San Antonio first, you have low temperatures tonight at 78, high temperature for tomorrow at 92, and then low temperatures tomorrow night at 78. Slight chance of storms tonight with some breezy conditions. You're going to see wind gusts of up to around 25 miles per hour tonight, up to 30 miles per hour tomorrow. Tomorrow night, 25 miles per hour again. So you definitely want to make sure that if you have something outside that needs to be tied down, anything that needs to be closed, umbrellas, which, you technically have already been receiving this wind for the past couple of days, but it's going to continue for you as you go all the way through into midweek. Not only that, but you have a slight chance of storms tomorrow night as well. Now, for your future, temperature-wise, it looks like you're going to go down in terms of temperatures, looking like you're in the 80s or so as you move into like next weekend, as you go into even next week. I mean, temperature is going to kind of stay in the 80s and not be in the 90s for you. And it's definitely going to be an active week. We're talking about a chance of rainfall pretty much every single day from Monday going all the way through into next weekend. So just make sure that you're aware for that. SPC outlook, looking for any sort of severe weather. I do believe that you do have a risk of severe weather that is for Tuesday. Tuesday, isolated severe storms are a possibility for you on Tuesday in San Antonio, so just make sure that you're aware. We'll have the hazards for you tomorrow. In terms of excessive rainfall, you do have a risk of flash flooding not only Tuesday and Wednesday, but also Thursday. Tuesday and Wednesday, you're just talking about some isolated flash flooding, kind of like the weakest of them, but still something to pay attention to, because here on the South Carolina Weather Channel, we always take every risk seriously. But on Thursday, day 5, you have a slight risk, meaning that scattered flash flooding is possible for you. So that's something you really want to go in and pay attention to and really get your eye on and have that plan in place. Just in case, if you live in a low-lying area, you know what to do just in case some flash flooding gets towards you. Now, what about for Raleigh? You have low temperatures tonight at 68, high temperature for tomorrow at around 94, low temperatures tomorrow night at 66. No precipitation is expected at this time. Again, none is expected until around next week or this week on Thursday or so. So Thursday, have like that 80% chance of rainfall there. Even Wednesday night, you have a 30%. So I will say definitely make sure that you're aware. And then as you finish out the week, that rain chance is just going to go up more and more and more, even as you get into like next weekend, like on Sunday. So around 7 days out from now. But the beginning of the week's going to be nice. I mean, temperature is going to be up into the 90s. You're going to have fun in the sun. But then as you get more into the week, the lower the temperatures drop and the more active it's going to get. Severe weather for you. For right now, it's not really expected at this time. Severe weather, same. Let's check out the chat, see if anybody got the answer. I do see the right answer. My Outlook says 100 degrees, and then Mr. Chris says the rainfall is going to go up. And, we're going to add some suspense to it tonight. It was my Outlook who got it correct. That is what I said. I said, as we get more into like the next 2-3 weeks or so, don't be surprised if we start to see some 100-degree temperatures starting to roll in a little bit. Now, like I said, 300, 400 hours out, that can obviously change. So that's why I said possibly, key word, possibly could happen. So just make sure that I'm not sitting here saying, oh, we're going to have 100-degree temperatures on June the 2nd. I don't know that. I said possibly could, because some of the models have started showing a more upward trajectory towards it. So, yes, that is correct. That is what I said. So, congratulations to you for getting top fan of the night for tonight. We'll go over honorable mentions in just a moment, but let's finish this out right here with Philadelphia and then Duncan. Philadelphia first, you have low temperatures tonight at around a good 67. High temperature for tomorrow at 94, and then low temperatures tomorrow night at 70. No precipitation is expected at this time. Again, no precipitation is expected. But I will say that in terms of any sort of excessive rainfall, severe weather, looks like that you're good on that front as well. For your future, I mean, honestly, it looks like that you may have some rainfall that may try to roll in Wednesday night or so. You have an 80% chance of rainfall there. But after that, I mean, you're going to be good until around Friday. Thursday, you're going to take a little bit of a break. But then Friday comes along, and that's when showers start to become likely. Temperature-wise, you're going to continue to kind of just be up into the 90s. I mean, 90s already in Philadelphia. I know that it is May, But you're already up into the 90s, and you're going to drop down to the 70s once you get to around Thursday. Once you get to Friday, you're going to be down to the 60s potentially. So enjoy these 90s right here if you want, obviously if you want them. If you don't want them, well, you'll be happy to know that they're going to be moving away as you go later into this week. Then finally for Duncan, Oklahoma, low temperature tonight at 71, high temperature for tomorrow at 86. Excuse me. That's your chance of rainfall for tomorrow, 40%. And then low temperatures tomorrow night at around 65. 20% chance of storms tonight, tomorrow 40% chance of storms tomorrow and tomorrow night. And it's going to be active for you all week. I mean, you have a chance of rainfall pretty much every day this week, going all the way. Saturday may be like the only day, but going all the way to Sunday, you have like a chance of rainfall every single day. And so with that does come with the risk of severe weather. Tomorrow, you have a slight risk of severe weather. What are the risks? Well, 2% chance of tornadoes, like right on the border of that 5% risk of tornadoes there. So isolated to scattered tornadoes possible tomorrow. Also, severe wind, scattered damaging wind gusts of up to 60 miles per hour is possible tomorrow. And then also, you have a 15% Sig 1 risk for hail, meaning that you have scattered hail of up to 1 inch in diameter, and some of that hail may even be up to 2 inches in diameter. So just make sure that you're aware of that. And you're still not done. Tuesday, another slight risk of severe weather with a 15% risk of it. After that, though, you look good there. Excessive rainfall-wise, you do have a risk of excessive rainfall on all 3 days, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, all days, isolated flash flooding is possible. And then for your future temperature-wise, you're going to continue to be up into the 80s, but then you're going to drop down to the 70s as you go later into the week this week. But then once you get into around next week, back up into the 80s for you. And that's all that I have to say here. So let me go ahead and say this real quick for the entire U.S., because then we're going to go on and talk about that right now, see what's going on throughout the entire U.S. weather news-wise. Dry and windy conditions will produce dangerous fire weather conditions across the southern high plains into the southwest. Severe storms, including very large hail, strong tornadoes, winds, all of that expected from the Great Lakes into the central and southern plains. So I think that's definitely the main thing on people's minds right now is the severe weather. Because tonight, yes, there is a risk of severe weather up there in Omaha, Minneapolis, Milwaukee, Oklahoma City, Kansas City. These areas are getting severe weather tonight. But I think the main risk is definitely for tomorrow. Tomorrow there's a moderate risk of tornadoes, and some people are even are trying to bring out that tornado outbreak word. Now, some people are saying that it's possible. Some people think that it's likely, but honestly, I'm just gonna say that it's possible. I'm not gonna say for sure that if it's expected or not. Not inside the state of South Carolina, but over there inside of Kansas, over there in Nebraska, over there inside of northwestern Missouri as well. As there's a moderate risk over there, and they have a 15% risk of tornadoes, which may not seem that high, but that's pretty high on the scale. And not only that, but it's a intensity level of a Sig 2, meaning that it could potentially be EF3 plus. So you're seeing 130 to close to 160 mile per hour inside of a tornado or so. That's possible tomorrow in these areas. So if you know anybody in these areas, definitely let them know. Again, that goes all the way from Salina, Kansas, all the way to Newton, Kansas, to Junction City, to Kansas City, to Chicago, to Detroit, to Indianapolis. Now, not everybody in this risk will obviously get, EF3 tornado. So when I call them out, I'm not saying that they will. Dallas is included. Fort Worth is in there. Minneapolis is in there. St. Paul, Minnesota is included in there. Fort Wayne is included in there. Evansville, Indiana is included in there. Springfield, Missouri is included in there. Just a lot of these areas are in this risk of severe weather for tomorrow. So just, like I said, if you know anybody in these areas, let them know severe weather is coming for them. Again, that's all the way from the Great Lakes down into the Midwest, down over into like Texas or so. Northern Texas. San Antonio's not in there. But that's pretty much all I have to say here for the severe weather portion of it. Also, heavy late season snow and cold temperatures are expected from the northern to the central Rockies. Heat is also spreading across the eastern U.S. And that's all. Now, we did get a picture tonight, actually 3 pictures tonight. Both of them from Thad. who says current radar. This is around 2 hours ago at 6:58 in the evening when he sent this out. So thank you so much for this picture right here. This is just a picture of the radar that's currently going on right now. Then we also have another picture, another two pictures from him saying that it is drizzling. It is drizzling. Now I know, it's a stale picture, so you can't really see the drizzle too much, but believe him, it is drizzling. And I don't get a video here either, but I believe you. Just due to the fact that you did have a chance of rainfall tonight, and you just showed us the radar image as well. And so that's all. So if you want to go on and send me a picture, you can by sending it to scweather360@gmail.com. Again, that is scweather360@gmail.com. Or you can add me on Twitter at 360_weather. Again, that is 360_weather. And we are now officially on Instagram as well. We're now officially on Instagram. That is 360_weather. Same thing for Twitter. 360_weather. That is my handle right there. So if you don't have Twitter, you don't want to send it to me on email, but you have Instagram, you can send it to me there as well, because that is where I am now as well. So that's all that I have to say here throughout for tonight. So let me go on and check out the chat. Don't see anything else really for me. Don't have nothing else in terms of videos, any sort of pictures or anything like that. So I'll be back tomorrow morning with your Monday morning forecast update. Also tomorrow evening with your Monday evening forecast update. If you have not hit the like button yet, go ahead and do so. Also hit the subscribe button. We're at 733, trying to get to 800. And then share with your friends, your family members, your acquaintances, and people that you don't talk to regularly, because it's free. And you can share as many times as you want. Make sure you hit those two buttons before you leave if you are new.